Omega season, this episode was recorded in Puerto Rico. Digitized for excellence.
Welcome to the Omega podcast with our guest, José Canabal from Puerto Rico. He is a driven and accomplished professional, a proud alumnus of the University of Puerto Rico, Rio Piedras campus. He holds a bachelor's degree in accounting and information systems. In September of 2023, at the age of 28, he achieved a significant milestone by obtaining his CPA license. Jose successfully runs his own business and also lends his expertise to his father's accounting firm, reflecting a deep commitment to his family and profession. A strong advocate for work-life balance, he lives by the ethos of maintaining a strong mind, body, and relationship, believing that personal well-being is integral to professional success. Jose, it's great to have you on the podcast.
It's great to be here, Keenan. Thanks for the invite.
Absolutely, Jose. I know from reading your bio, I was just thinking that it's so awesome that you're a part of your family's lineage, how your father had started an accounting firm and now recently you're starting your own accounting agency. What inspired you to start your own business?
Well, my dad has been working in the industry for more than 30 years, and I have seen his life, and he's doing quite well. So I tried the private companies. I work with uh, big firms, companies like Pricewaterhouse and local firms. And in my experience, I see more value in working with uh smaller clients rather than larger companies. So for me, that's what makes me feel more uh accomplished in life, helping a small business.
Absolutely. And I know that throughout your experiences working at larger companies, you probably had a lot of experience working with very big ticketed clients. So those experiences are probably tailored to some of the work that you're doing. But what made you want to start your business in Puerto Rico specifically?
Well, I see like a challenge here, Puerto Rico have been suffering like with a lot of economic problems in the last couple of years. A lot of people are leaving the island. So for me, I see that it's my duty to help my island, and the best way I say I can do is like create employment for me and for other people in the future. So also helping clients here, local companies with their accounting. So basically, for me, that's the main goal: helping the companies to get bigger and better.
Yeah, helping the companies get bigger, get better. But also, I love the fact that you're so passionate about really bringing resources and talent and people to the island of Puerto Rico, which is also a territory of the US. But when it
Right.
comes to individuals that are perhaps interested in investing, or even those that might be listening to our podcast that would want to partner or collaborate with your organization, where do you see there might be some areas for collaboration for instance, a business maybe based in Florida or Texas, for instance?
Well, if a company wants to come here and apply for the Act 60, I don't know if you heard of that. I purely know like the Act 22 and Act 20. I also, part of my job is to apply for those incentives here in the island and guide them in any question or gesture they need here with the agencies, Puerto Rican agencies. So I think that will be a great start for any company that wants to come here, like get in contact with an accountant and do that collaboration.
Perfect. No, that's great that you're very well informed about the legislation, knowing the right parties to get in contact with in order to go through the documentation and to really make a collaborative effort possible when it comes to supporting Puerto Rico. But just to try to change gears just a little bit, For you personally, as an entrepreneur, what are the three most important habits to be successful? There has been a lot of discussions with artificial intelligence, digital technologies, even post the pandemic. There's a lot of companies still trying to get back to where things were financially, as well as just through their overall organization. But what has been sort of three habits that have helped you to start your business and to keep it going?
Well, that's a good question. I'm going to start that you have to have a strong work ethic and discipline. Um, like being an entrepreneur, you require a lot of work, a lot of dedication, and if you're not committed to your goal, you won't be successful. Also, you have to be able to adapt to new things and be resilient with challenges and setbacks. So as you know, being an entrepreneur require a lot of uncertainty in the process. So you have to be resilient and be able to bounce back from failure. That's something that is very important and adapt to changes. Also, another habit that you have to develop if you don't have it, or if you have it, is better, is the habit of being um strong relationships and having a strong network with people in this business, and I think in any other business, people grow with help, you know. If you build strong network with people, maintain a good relationship with your customers or suppliers, partners, then you will have more opportunities in the future. So
For
those, for
sure.
me, those are the most important habits.
No, that's great. And I really appreciate how you touched upon the relationships that you have with different constituents, the client, the people that you work with, while you're networking, making sure that you're looking at all the granular areas to ensure that you're able to grow, but also to seek mentorship. I think mentorship is such a crucial role, especially in starting a business and
I
being an
agree. Yeah.
entrepreneur, because if you don't have mentorship, it's almost as if that you're trying to run a race without having a clear destination to where you're running to. So I really appreciate you highlighting that because I think for entrepreneurs today, they just kind of get in this mindset that it's all about me and I'm just going to do what it is that I have the agenda to do and to accomplish. And I think that's great ambition, but it can only go so far.
And that now they talk about mentorship. In my situation, I have my dad. He's been working in the business for years. So sometimes you think things are one way, but you have to learn from the people that have more experience than you and have that faith in their thinking and their mindset. So it's very important to always be able to be open to hear from people with more experiences.
Absolutely. And it's great that you have your father as a true mentor in your life and in your entrepreneurial journeys. What is a typical day like for you? I think for many people, they often get into this regiment that the average CEO or founder is waking up 4 a.m. in the morning, they have a trainer, they're running on the beach somewhere, they're eating, probably the best exquisite
Meditation.
dinners. Yeah, vacations by the ocean, they're in Bora Bora, just the whole nine yards. But I think for many of us, it's not that glamorous, I guess. It's a lot more hard work. But can you kind of share with our listeners what is a typical day for you?
Well, I usually wake up at 6 a.m. I like to go to the gym in the morning, so that's a habit I have developed for a couple of years now. Go to the gym for an hour and a half, depending on the day. Uh, Come back home, eat breakfast, go to the office, then do the task for the day. I spend almost the whole day in the office, then go back to my house. Sometimes I like to spend time with friends or family or anyone that I have relationship with. Or sometimes I like to read. I like to read by myself, you know, in my house or or sleep. Or sometimes I watch TV a little bit, you know. I like to watch Netflix series or Disney Plus. Sometimes I like to do that too. So that's basically my day.
Yeah, that's an ideal day. And I think you had shared that you are reading. I think reading books and reading a lot of self-help books throughout the process of being an entrepreneur is crucial. Can you share any books that you've read or came across that could be resourceful to some of our listeners?
In a book that I read this recently, well, I read the book uh Rich Dad and Poor Dad, Rich Dad. You heard that? That's something. That's something I read related to business more, but usually I read other topics. How to make friends. Yeah, have you heard of that book? Well, I read one of those books, and um then right now I remember more of those books, but usually are more related to other topics. To get
Hmm.
distracted from work.
Right. I think that's really interesting that the book title is entitled How to Make Friends, but I think if you take it out of context and put it in a business language, it's like how to network, basically, how to be
Yeah,
able
yeah,
to
hundred
meet
percent.
needs and how to be able to socialize with new people. Because we're constantly meeting new people every single day, and sometimes there's a lot of different things that may come up in just relationships. So I think that's really cool that you are on that journey of self-discovery as well as using different resources to grow yourself. I think for those that are listening, it's so important that we focus on books that are going to be essential to our internal growth. I think sometimes people don't take the time necessary to spend the due diligence on their own
I want to talk
self-advocacy.
about actually there's one book I read. It was a long time ago. It's called The Secret. Have you heard of it? Yeah, but that book actually changed my life in that moment, changing my mindset to be more like attract positive things. So I recommend anyone hearing this that they should read that book at least once in their lifetime.
Yeah, well, thank you for that suggestion. Well, before we continue down the long list of books, and for those that are still interested, we'll actually have a link for Jose's book suggestions in the link to this podcast because I know people are probably thinking, what else would be out there would be very insightful and helpful. But what would you say are some of the biggest challenges of being an entrepreneur? We had mentioned some of the perks, the benefits, the ways that we can be able to enrich our own learning. But what are some of the drawbacks or challenges that you face?
Well, definitely uncertainty and instability. That like sometimes you don't know what the future is going to be, and you have to deal with your mind and any market fluctuations or changing of customers' preferences, or for example, something like the pandemic can come, and you never expect something like that is going to happen. So that uncertainty is something that is a challenge for anyone that is doing a business. Building a customer base, sometimes attracting and retaining customer is crucial for the business most of the times, and especially when you're starting, building that customer base is something that you have to face to establish yourself in the market. Also, self-doubt and stress. There's periods that you have beside your job, you have your life, and you have a balance with your personal problems and your business, and maintaining confidence and managing stress is something that is crucial for long-term success.
That's perfect. I think what you said just nailed it right on the head. Now, obviously, there's a lot of other things that may come into some of the challenges, right? Because you can think of like capital, being able to understand how to budget, how to be able to have a perhaps a limited budget starting out, and then once you get more funding or more clients, you can be able to build off that budget. I know a lot of businesses go into debt immediately in order to accumulate a customer base, and that sometimes can backfire. But I like how you shared, really focusing on understanding your customer needs. I think for many business owners and even those that are starting out, they don't take the necessary research, time, or effort to really understand what are the needs of my clients and how can I be able to meet those needs? So the fact that you've already done that work is already going to help and assist you. And we all know that accountants are extremely lucrative. And we actually saw a recent headline that there's a either a deficit or either there's a lack of CPAs in the marketplace where it's actually providing your business more opportunities to
I
get more
heard that.
clients.
Yeah, they
So
actually changed the time for the credits to expire for the CPA exam. You know, that you have like a year or something to finish the four exams. They change it from 18 years to 30 years because of that, because of the lack of accountants, of CPA accountants. So yeah,
right.
something important.
Yeah, and for those that are interested in going a financial route, you're definitely the go-to guy, with the CPA license, you've taken the examinations, you've passed it. And maybe just briefly, can you sort of share with some of our listeners sort of the beginning phases of even studying for the CPA exam and how has that assisted you with credibility or even credentialing now with your business?
Enjoying this podcast episode? Leave us a comment and share with your network. Now, back to this energized conversation with Jose.
Well, it requires a lot of discipline to study and a lot of hard work. At the beginning, you don't know how to actually study for those exams because compared to school and university, is the way of studying is very different since you have to be by yourself the whole day or the time you're going to spend for studying. And it helped me a lot with the uncertainty, because you don't know how much time you're going to spend studying for those exams. You think you're going to finish in a couple of months or a year, but you have to pass it. And if you fail, like for example, in my case, I failed a couple of times, actually a lot of times. I started studying in June 2019, and I finished June 2023, my last exam. So I saw a lot of challenges studying for the CPA and a lot of setbacks, but it helped me to build a stronger mind and also have faith in what you have and in your future. So that's one of the most important things of this exam is obviously the learning the information, but also learning to be patient with yourself and with the process. That's something that I have learned from that experience, and I I am adapting now in this new phase of my life, and I will have it forever in my life. You know,
Yeah, being patient in the process. That is so crucial. There's no it's not as though the goal is to get to where you want to be quickly. I think many people want to be the next unicorn quickly. They want to be the next multi-billionaire quickly. They want to be the next trillionaire, whatever it is, fill in the blank. And many people don't understand it takes time. And I don't think you want things quickly in life because if things happen so quickly, they tend to leave very quickly, right? And you can even look at that when if you receive money, right? If you see $500,000 lump sum, in cash in hand, more likely than not, someone's going to probably spend it, in a way that's going to dissipate in the next few weeks versus someone who earned over the couple of months. They're probably going to be more frugal with their spending and being able to do that, right, and be able to have it more long term. So that's just some of the ideas that come to mind when you mention that.
also the lessons you learn in the process. If you have it quickly, you're not going to learn the lessons you're supposed to learn. So that's why it's important to trust the process because you think that and I don't say success quickly, but you're learning a lot. So that's automatically is a way of success, the learning you're having.
Absolutely. And I think you had shared it best. It's good to fail forward, right? You had taken the examination once. That wasn't a stopping ground. That wasn't a dead end for you. You just kept going. And for those listening, keep going. Keep doing what you need to do because your hard work, your perseverance, your dedication will pay off as it has for Jose
100%.
getting a CPA and starting his accounting firm. And Jose and I, we go way back, back to when we were interns. Man, I'm not going to share the year because someone's going to probably look us up in a database, but it's been a couple of years since we actually, last saw each other. But it was a great time, being in LA and having that opportunity. But with all that has changed, all that has transpired, how do you stay on top of industry trends that are taking place in your market? I mean, they're talking about how AI is transforming accounting and how they're outsourcing work to really everywhere around the world through VAs, through automation, through different bots. How is that impacting you? Is it impacting you? How are you kind of staying on top of those areas?
For in terms of AI, I do have to adapt to the new changes. I actually use some tools from AI in my business are really helpful for me, and I'm always looking for information on the internet or in webinars, and also I take a lot of continuing education. And for you to maintain your license, you have to take classes for the credits. So that's a way I do to stay on, on the trends, be with everything new, have know everything what is going on. Also, I take a lot of feedback from clients too. Um, how is their experiences, and if they have any needs or concern, if they have heard anything, I like to hear those insights. Also, collaboration with other departments or other CPAs. We share information and we share resources that they know. So for me, that's very important because sometimes you see something, but the other person haven't saw it, or vice versa, and that's a way to live up, having this strong network of people that are continuing learning new things and sharing those things with you.
That's so crucial. Being able to have those communities that you can be able to share resources with one another. And I probably can relate to someone listening to our conversation, and they might say, I don't have anyone in my family. I don't have, resources. I don't have a group. I don't have a community. It is just me, myself, and I. And what would you sort of say to that person that's perhaps listening and just saying, hey, it's just me right now? Where should they start?
You mean to for their business or
For their
for the network?
business in order to get themselves kind of out of that area of feeling as though that there's no one really rooting for them or maybe no one really advocating for themselves and for their business to thrive.
Well, the first thing is you have to believe in yourself. The relationship with yourself is the most important relationship. So first, build a strong relationship with yourself. Have a clear mind of what is good for you and what you want for life. Also have a strong relationship with God. For me, is that something very important sometimes. To think that you don't have that clarity in your mind, but in my experiences, when I feel like that, that's when I'm most focused on my relationship with God. And since then, He guided me to do the right move, you know. And always you have to change the mindset that everything in life has to be easy or everything has to be fun or the bad moments are really bad. Like for me, the bad moments are very important for every human being because those things are the things that teach you the things you have to do good and guide you for your path. So appreciate every moment in your life and do what is what is right to do for you and your family and for the community.
Absolutely. Wow. And this is my final question because I think this has been such an enriching and very thought-provoking conversation. What advice would you give your younger self?
That's a good question. What advice I will give? Well, Don't get distracted with stupid things. Like sometimes when you're young, something bad happens to you one day and you think that thing is like the end of the world or something really bad. But if it doesn't matter in a year, then whatever, you don't have to get that worried. So stay patient with yourself and maintain the focus every day.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Jose, for being on the Omega podcast.